I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very happy that Romania is a host for such kind of conferences. As some of you remember, in 2013, here in Bucharest, it was organized by the Romanian Humanist Association, together with IAGU and European Humanist Federation, the general assemblies of these humanist international NGOs. And it's important to have more and more conferences, more and more meetings between humanists all over Europe and all over the world, here in Bucharest, in Romania. As some of you, or maybe all of you, know, there are many Okay, I'll try to. There are some limits that I didn't know. So it's important to have such kind of meetings here in Romania, because as most of you, maybe all of you know, there are a lot of humanist issues here in this country. If you speak about religious education in schools, if you speak about religion in politics, if you speak about financing churches with public funds illegally, from my point of view, if you speak about a lot of other humanist issues, you will find them on the agenda in Romania. My speech is entitled From Humanist Activism to Humanist Politics. You may suppose that there is a kind of difference between doing humanist activism and humanist politics. Having the experience of both of them, let me confess you that my view is that there's no big difference. And I will try to show you why. And yes, there is sunshine outside. It's very warm these days in Bucharest. So that's why I decided to wear this day a t-shirt with a tiger. But please don't be scared. He's not religious. If I try to wear this t-shirt in the parliament, because I am a member of the Romanian parliament, I may be in trouble. And there were some debates in the parliament if I may wear this kind of t-shirt in the plenary, or if I have to wear a tie and a kind of clothes which are more serious. From my point of view, I may wear such kind of t-shirt and your kind of t-shirts, because in the first instance is a matter of freedom. It's a matter of how you want to live, and sometimes how kind of messages you want to transmit to others. So maybe this is an example of a slight difference between social activism or humanist activism and politics. Politics is more restrictive on some appearances, but in the essence of your work, as I'll try to show you, there's no big difference between social and humanist activism and humanist politics. You may say the same things, you may do almost the same things, but, and this will be my conclusion, doing humanist politics is more effective. Your influence over a society, your impact over a society, it's much, much bigger. I told you a few words about Romania and how many humanist issues we may face here. There's a long tradition of very strong connections between the main church, the Orthodox Church, and political powers during history. Almost always, the main church was very strong related, very strong connected with the power, the political power. And I may show you a picture from the 40s. You may see here a patriarch of the Orthodox Church during a kind of fascist meeting. Despite the tragic histories during communism, there were a lot of priests who took part to the political power during communism. And you may see here one of them speaking in the great plenary of the communist parliament in the 50s. And speaking about what's happening in Romania in the recent years, you may see here a famous picture having in the middle of it the former president of Romania, Mr. Băsescu, who was a very strong supporter of the church and a very strong enemy to the Romanian democracy, from my point of view. But the story doesn't end. A few months ago, we had elections in Romania, and there is a new president who is not Orthodox, who is Lutheran, and who is not Romanian, who is German. He's a member of the German minority. And he was elected after a campaign in which the Orthodox candidate, because in the finals there were two candidates, one of them Orthodox, one of them Lutheran. The Orthodox candidate used the Orthodox Church for his campaign. But the people said no. The people said that they want new democracy with more tolerance, with more diversity. And it was a very, very good step forward for our country, for Romania, to a better and more European democracy. But even if there is no procedure to allow this, unfortunately, in the parliament, the Social Democrats succeeded to invite the Patriarch of the Orthodox Church to speak and to bless the new president. What happened is outside procedures. I tried to oppose. Some of my colleagues supported me, but and there were discussions about this even few minutes before the ceremony. This happened in November last year. Unfortunately, after a lot of debates, the Patriarch gave his blessing to the President. And this blessing is not something only symbolically, because if it would be just symbolically, it would be maybe not a real problem. But unfortunately, in Romania are spending a lot, they are spending a lot of public funds for building new churches, and these new churches are not 3 or 4 or 5 or I don't know. There are thousands, many thousands of churches which are built, and in the same time, as you may heard speaking with Romanian humanists, in the same time there are a lot of schools, a lot of hospitals which are closed. And the government always pretend that we have no money to support these hospitals, so we have to close it. We have no money to support these schools, we have to close them. So there are consequences. There are huge consequences of having such a strong connection between politics and religion, mainly the Orthodox Church. But Christina said that I'm one of the pioneers of humanists. There were the first NGO, which was founded in Romania, was founded in 2003, together with Mr. Emil Moise, who will speak after me. He's here. Together with Gabriel Andreescu, who is one of the first humanist voices in Romania. He wrote a lot of articles in the 90s, and he inspired me to join this movement. Unfortunately, he is not here, but he is also an author and a strong supporter of humanist values. And we had other colleagues. One of our first campaigns was Safe Carol Park campaign. You may see here a picture. There were thousands of people in a park, one of the most beautiful parks in Bucharest, where the church and the government wanted to build the biggest Orthodox church in Eastern Europe, the Cathedral for National Redemption. Fortunately, this time, we succeeded to stop them, organizing 7 protests and starting a lawsuit against government. We won in the court, and we stopped that project, and we saved the park. That campaign was half environmental and half secular humanist, because of course we promoted the separation between church and state, and our reasons were secular humanists, but in the same time it was also an environmental issue, because a lot of people came to defend their park, came to the protests. As a member of civil society, I took part to a lot of protests. Here is one in front of the parliament for promoting education, culture and science, no, and saying no to religious indoctrination. But what I tried to do, together with a lot of other humanists in Romania, I still can do in politics. And I still participate to some protests, so there is no big difference. This is a picture from a protest last year in a place called Punjești, where government wanted to start fracking exploitation of shale gas. And me, together with many others, we tried to oppose it, to this project. And we somehow succeed. There's also a march for LGBT people. I'm here together with Ulrike Lunacek, who is a member of the European Parliament and who is a co-chair of LGBT intergroup in the European Parliament. She came to Bucharest. She came to support LGBT rights. Unfortunately, no other Romanian politician decided to be there. Unfortunately, because of this huge pressure from the religious side of the Romanian society to politicians, even those who think well, and even those politicians who have good values, they don't have enough courage to speak openly for the media and in public about some controversial issues like LGBT rights. Anyway, there are also some good news regarding politics, and let me tell you a bit about them. Despite the fact that the church is so powerful in Romania, despite the fact that any government, no matter if it's liberal or social democrat or conservative, any government gave a lot of public funds to churches. Let me tell you that in the last 2 or 3 years, there were some changes, and I will give you some examples. In 2013, I proposed a law for recognizing civil partnership. In most of the European countries, there are already such kind of laws voted. In Romania, it was a huge scandal. And after this scandal, the vote in the Senate was maybe 3 or 4 votes in favor of the project, 105 against, and in Deputy Chamber there were only 4 votes in favor and almost 300 against. But there is a procedure that allows you to put back a project in the parliament for a debate after it is rejected. So it was rejected in 2014. I put it back on the agenda, and there were two very good steps forward. In Senate, any project is debated, and in Deputy Chamber too, it's debated first in the commissions. There are some commissions for human rights, for family, for working issues, and so on. So the Commission of the Senate for Equality of Chances voted in favor of this proposal for the first time, about 1.5 months ago. Of course, the project was rejected by the Senate, but this time we got almost 20% of the votes in favor or abstains regarding this project, which is much bigger than at the previous vote in 2013. In the same time, in the Deputy Chamber, this week, it was a historical vote again at the Commission for Working Issues and Social Security. It was also a vote in favor. And the media exploded. There were many articles, many debates, and it was in the news for 2 or 3 days. This information was in the news. So there are some changes, and another thing which is very important is that these changes and these debates in the Parliament somehow make a lot of people just to think about. For many decades, we just don't had a debate regarding such kind of issues. But now there are debates. People are talking about it. Some people, when I walk on streets, some people come to me and say congratulations. Some people try somehow to say, oh, you are gay, shame on you. Anyway, they know about this issue and they think about it and they have an opinion. This is a very important step forward in order to change a society. It's not enough to vote for a law. The main change is in the mind of the people. And what I tried to do in civil society for many years, together with my colleagues and with a lot of very good people, I may do now in politics on a larger scale. Because what I'm saying now as a politician, and I was elected in 2012, what I'm saying now as a politician is the same thing what I said as a member of civil society. But right now, the media is more interested. That's why I told you that I think that doing humanist politics is more effective. At least having in mind this reason, the media is more interested. If the media is more interested, there are more and more articles. Having more articles about some issues, there are more and more people who think about those issues. And you have more chances to influence the mind of the people. Influencing the mind of the people, you have a chance for a growing pressure from the society to change somehow the public policies, not to give too much money to churches, not to indoctrinate children in schools, recognizing civil partnership, and there are many other issues. Let me give you another good news. I proposed a law because in Romania it's not allowed for a non-believer like you to be a president or to be a prime minister or to be a member of the government. Because of the oath, even if you are elected by the people as a president in Romania, you will become a real president after you will say the oath. And this oath is mandatory. And the final words of it are, "So help me God." So if you are not a believer, you have a problem. What you will do? You will say these words lying about your conscience, or you will not say these words refusing to become a president or a prime minister or a member of the government, minister or secretary of state. And I proposed a law to change this oath. For us as members of the parliament, there is an option. You can say this oath on your conscience and honor. But as I told you, for the members of the government and for the president, there is no option. And this is written in the Constitution. So you cannot change the Constitution with a law. The Constitution is heavier than an ordinary law. But I proposed a law which is in conflict with the Constitution, and somehow it is unconstitutional, saying that, look, there is something much important than the Romanian Constitution, and this is the European Convention of Human Rights. And the freedom of conscience is written there, and if there are some international treaties which are signed by Romania, these international treaties are more important than the Romanian Constitution. So my proposal, my initiative, my draft law is based on European Convention of Human Rights. But they replied to me, it is unconstitutional. Anyway, it's a long story. I do not have too much time to speak too much about this. I will conclude. According to the procedures, the first chamber, the Senate in this case, had 45 days in order to take a decision. If the Senate does not take a decision in these 45 days, it is considered that that proposal was approved. And these 45 days passed. So this week, this law was adopted by the Senate according to this procedure. Anyway, and as I told you before, this week also was that historical vote in the Commission for Working Issues and Social Security. And if you ask me, how did you do this? How did you convince your colleagues to vote for civil partnership, for instance, knowing that the church is so strong and the public opinion, maybe it's not too much in favor? And I will tell you the secret, how I succeeded to convince them. I just told them that if they will not vote for civil partnership, they will burn in hell forever. And because God is love, and this law regarding civil partnership is about love. So if they oppose to love, they will oppose to the God's will. I took the Bible with me, believe me, and I quoted Corinthians. Corinthians, there are some passages, very nice passages regarding love. Of course, a priest who was present told that it's a blasphemy that a non-believer quote the Bible. But yeah, after these debates, and there were many other debates in the parliament, my colleagues voted for the God's will. So, my final words is do your best in civil society. Do your best in order to defend the humanist principles, the humanist values. We need to build secular societies. We need to face some prejudices, some hate speech, and a lot of offensive speeches from the people who defend a kind of conservative religious issues. But sometimes you may find allies between Christians. You may find allies between other members of some other religions, and this is the case in Romania. Sometimes some people who are religions, but who are also secular, who have secular views and who defend the separation between church and state, may be your allies. But if somehow, someday, you will have the chance to do this step to politics, do so. Of course, maybe a lot of people may think, look, but in politics there are a lot of bad things. It's tricky, it's dangerous. It is dangerous. It may be tricky. But if you have strong values and if you will keep going to promote your work, no matter what, no matter what others are saying, you will do something very good for your society, and the change will come. Maybe not so fast as you want, but as I told you, sometimes God can help us. Thank you very much. So, if there are some questions, I will respond to them. Yeah, maybe this works.
If politics is more efficient than just activism, as you said, does it mean that it was for humanist organization, it was being transformed into political party?
It's a good question. From my point of view, it's very important to have strong humanist NGOs. It is very important. It is a very important layer in any society to have strong humanist NGOs. And it is very good that in Romania we have stronger and stronger humanist NGOs. There is Romanian Humanist Association, there is Romanian Secular-Humanist Associations, there is Solidarity for Freedom of Conscience, and there are other groups and movements which are growing. So it's very important to have a strong civil society. In the same time, it is very, very important also to have some humanist political voices in the parliament and maybe someday in the governments. Because if there is only a strong civil society, strong humanist civil society, without no representatives in the at the political level, it will be very hard to influence the final decisions of the parliament. Having some humanist voices in the parliaments or in the governments, there is a better chance to have good humanist decisions in order to keep the religion and state separate, in order not to use public funds for building new churches and so on. So from my point of view, it's important to have strong civil humanist society, to have some humanist voices in the parliaments, and to do something in order to have a good cooperation between them. But without humanist voices in politics, it will be harder. What do you think? The good news is that there are some voices. So there is a voice. The bad news is that there is only one. Speaking about the oath, I was the first Romanian MP who took the oath on conscience and honor, not with the religious formula. So help me God. Constitution is quite ambiguous. The Constitution is quite ambiguous from my point of view. In Constitution is written that the religious cults, religious denominations, are autonomous regarding state. But there is no word regarding separation between church and state or something like this. So
you're not secular?
Look, a problem with the laws in Romania is that in many cases they are not quite clear. It's not quite clear. For instance, there is also a law regarding religious freedom. And the Article 9 of this law says that there is no state church. And the state is neutral regarding religious cults. But in the same time, at the next articles, you will find that the state supports the church so much that you may consider that de facto, in fact, you have a state church because it receives a lot of money. The patriarch can, only the Orthodox patriarch can bless the president as he is the king. So there are a lot of privileges given to churches. And when you ask what does this mean to have a separation between church and state, it's very hard to say in Romania, look, because of the separation between church and state, this is happening. And let me confess you that I see almost no sign that there is a separation between church and state, even if it's written somehow in an ambiguous law.
I wanted to ask you, do you think that it is better for humanist activists to get into politics in a party as you did the Green Party or any different party that already exists, or to found a humanist party? Because, for example, in Italy, nobody, no politician would openly say that they do not believe in God or that they are humanists. Because they don't want non-believers to be identified with one party or the other. And so now, right now, just 2 years ago, there was a non-believer party founded. But I don't know, I think that could be even worse for identifying a particular group of society. So what are your thoughts on that?
Any solution is good, but it's important to have humanist voices at the political level. There are some humanists who consider themselves to be liberals, so they may join to some liberal parties. Other humanists consider themselves to be social democrats, so let them join to the social democratic parties. Others are Greens, or maybe some conservatives, why not? But it's important to have people from many parties speaking on this democratic language of secular humanism. Because first, I think that first of all, we as secular humanists, we are Democrats. But some of us may be liberals, Greens, social democrats, or whenever. But it's important to do, at least some of them, to do politics and to speak for separation between church and state. If there is no other question, let me say that I'll be very... Yeah.
Is it possible to hold a referendum in Romania?
To lose it with 95% to 5.
Do you actually believe that 95 of them that are practicing religion really 95?
No. Anyway, it was a joke, but it depends which is the question. If the question will be, do you want to recognize civil partnership, maybe we will get 25% about in favor. If you will ask, do you agree to give public funds for the huge, giant Orthodox Cathedral of National Redemption, maybe the referendum will be in favor of us, because many religious people are very against using public funds for building such a huge cathedral. So it depends by the question.
In a higher body authority, if a state signs a treaty with the European Union that will abide by the human rights
For example, who can you tell? How can I report if the government is not abiding by the treaty? It breaks it and it doesn't follow the rules. For example, when we try to report the foul play about the secular state, they say that it was, for example, a law that is passed and it is not secular and does not abide by the treaty. And we say that's not constitutional. But every response we get is it was made by the government and the government works through the constitution, apropos it's constitutional. Who can report such a behavior?
There are some procedures. You may go to the court. Regarding discrimination, there is an authority called the National Council for Combating Discriminating. You may ask the parliament to change some laws. You may ask the governments to stop some abuses. You may go to court. There are some possibilities. And the next speaker here, Mr. Emil Moise, I suppose that he will speak about a huge success at the Constitutional Court, which happened last year, and he was the man who started the lawsuit. All of the details he will speak about. But anyway, you have to be aware that somehow you may face this. And this is not a military parade, but is this may show that in Romania there is a huge force of the main church. And if you will come here for a longer time, you will find that they really have a force, financial force, symbolically force, political force, and so on. So even if you are right, even if the law is on your side, it won't be easy to change anything in this environment. That's why what Emil Moise did, it's a huge, huge success. Thank you very much.